is your host, Benjamin Saxton, and welcome to a Fighter's Chance podcast, where we give people in the combat sports world an opportunity to talk about the things worth fighting for. So today's guest is father and husband, Bellator Season 9 lightweight tournament winner, former Bellator lightweight champion with 2 title defenses, former UFC lightweight contender, Will Brooks. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thank you for giving me your time, man. I appreciate it.
Doing good. This is actually really cool to be talking with you. You were part of my first fighting experience at watching you XFO 39, the Sears Center. I think that was your third fight against Bobby Redans, I think is how you say his name. But you finished him in the 3rd round with an arm bar, so it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was the XFO days, man. Those are old school throwback days, man. My Illinois regional days. So, yeah, man, you've been following me since then. That's dedication.
So, when did you transition to your camp? So you were in Schaumburg, you were kind of in the Midwest, and then when did you switch camps to go to American Top Team?
A guy named Nick Redding. I always try my best to give him as much glory and respect that I can, because without him, I don't think I'd be here, having this conversation with you. But he knew me from high school, knew me from college. He invited me to come to a mixed martial arts gym, Midwest Training Center, where I originally started out in Schaumburg, Illinois. He was like, hey, man, get off the couch, get away from all this liquor, get away from all this partying, knucklehead decisions, and just get back in shape and see if you can, just light a fire. I went in the gym, started wrestling with some of these guys in the gym. Noticed I was having some good success, and one of the guys that was there was supposed to fight. He got hurt. One of the head coaches there asked me if I wanted to step in for him. He was like, hey, all you have to do is go in here, wrestle this guy, and hold him down and ground and pound, and you'll get a win, So first I was hesitant, and I was like, you know what, I got nothing better to do myself. So I went and did it. And that night I beat a kid that was he was supposed to be that world beater guy. He was 8-0, just stopping everybody. I went out there, I ragdolled him, and everybody cheered my name afterwards. And all these people wanted to do interviews with me, and I was like, wow, I could get used to this. I like this, So my coach was like, listen, you're a great athlete, you're a great wrestler. If you stick with us, we'll just sharpen your tools and we'll just go from here. So that was it. I believe that was about 8 or 7 years ago I switched over to American Top Team. It kind of just got to a point where I had my circuit days there in Illinois were up. I had I believe I was 7-0 as a pro, and it was one of those things where it was I believe at some point you have to step out of the small gym and step into a bigger gym if you want to find out if you really have what it takes to compete at a high level. So my management at the time, Monty Cox, who I'm not with him now, but I still give him a lot of praise and glory because he did help me a lot. Even during the bumps in the road where I was a knucklehead and it was frustrating to work with, he did a lot for me. So I still give him his credit. He just suggested to me to go down to American Top Team to check things out, and he had a good relationship with Dan Lambert, the owner of American Top Team. And, yeah, he just set me up with a couple other guys that he was managing, and we flew down there. And I loved it, I loved the environment. I loved it. At the time, they were in a smaller gym, and they had that small gym vibe, but small gym, big fish everywhere,
Right.
That was kind of the vibe. So, so my first day there, I ran into Dustin Poirier. I'm name dropping because that's the thing that just really sits with me the most, that really made my decision final to stay with American Top Team. My first day there, it was a sparring day. I was super green with my sparring. Coach Ricardo Laborio, I think everybody knows him in mixed martial arts. He's a legend. He put me with Dustin, and the way they used to run rounds were the first 2 rounds you weren't able to wrestle. It was all striking. So they put me in with Dustin, and I think everybody knows Dustin is a killer. He's a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And he got to whipping my butt all over the gym, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then finally they called wrestling. It was like, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And I was like, oh, thank God, So I spent 5 minutes, and this is when Dustin wasn't really that good with wrestling, and I was just like, man, I'm on a double leg. I'm a mat return him for 5 minutes straight, so he can't kick and punch me anymore. And that after that, being able to shake his hand and not having any animosity, and him saying, hey man, I would love it if you help me with my wrestling, I'll help you with your striking. And I was like, yo, I'm sold. I love this place.
That's cool. Were you like, when they call it wrestling, you're like, all right, finally, I can show you now what I'm all about. Bring you to my world.
They saved my life, man. They really did. Because he was just having his way with me. And I'm like looking around like, is anybody going to save me? Like, what is this? I just got here. I'm not prepared for this. But then, they call wrestling. And it was like God reached down on me and put his hand on my shoulder. It was like, I've got you, son. Like, let's go. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it helped me a lot to be able to wrestle that last round. But if it's a 3-round fight, he definitely beat me. He definitely won that fight.
That's great. Now, how was it? Obviously you say you were getting worked in there in the sparring sessions. At what point when you're sparring with Dustin or some of the other great fighters in American Top Team, where you're like, okay, my striking's improving, or was there another fighter, maybe it was Dustin, that kind of took you under your wing or under their wing and said here, let me kind of help you get to that next level?
Yeah, man. In a gym like that, one of the blessings about having that gym is of American Top Team, and not a lot of people talk about, is the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Like the open heart and the open mind that guys have for each other. Even though you're in a gym full of killers, you have a bunch of lightweights around or welterweights or whoever, a guy that you might be fighting, but no, there's never any animosity. There's always a genuine love and support and wanting to help you get better at everything at all costs, because we understand that if you don't get better, I can't get better, So that's kind of the idea that we had, that a lot of guys approached. And Dustin was one of those guys that took me in. Coach Conan, Mikey Rod, Robbie Lawler, just going on fires, Robbie Lawler, George Masvidal, Kobe Covington before the Kobe Covington that we know now.
Yeah.
Hector Lombard was a guy that was really kind of really vital, and just not so much training, but just kind of showing me love. There's a lot of guys in that gym. I could go on and on, even guys who stepped away from mixed martial arts, like Bobby Lashley, who's now he's pro wrestling, WWE, whatever. But man, it's just name after name after name, person after person. And I could go into even some of our female fighters like Amanda, Joanna, and just a handful of just an incredible building of people that just kind of gave me, throughout my years of being there, gave me everything that they had. And I tried to do the same for them.
No, that's great. I mean, just the names that you're listing off of the top talent, just to be around and absorbing, just little bits of here, little bits of there, and just kind of taking that and blending that all together. That's fantastic. That really elevates you.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention Mike Brown, who's a legend in the sport.
Right.
Who just, he saw my skill set that was very similar to his, very, straightforward power type of guy with great wrestling, and he took me under his wing, and Dia Davis, who's a great boxing coach. He was a great boxer before he retired, and he's doing great things in Florida. He's running his Boca boxing gym, so really proud of him. But like I said, it was just, I could go all day about how many people have big names and coaches, and and even today, that you just have even guys who just come and go, so it's incredible to be a part of that team.
Yeah, you're definitely in a good spot where, American Top Team is one of the top rated ones in the country. I mean, top team, but it's one of the top ones in the country. And I think it speaks for itself and why. I mean, it draws some of the biggest names in and allows you guys to elevate not just yourself, but everybody around you.
Yeah.
You always want to surround yourself with the best, right? That's how you grow, and that's how you continue to get better. I want to talk a little bit about, maybe getting better or adversity. Well, you've had a lot of fights throughout your career. You've gone on some pretty good runs. without losses, some pretty long winning streaks. Maybe you could talk a little bit about a couple fights or a fight in particular where you've kind of faced adversity, whether it was in the ring or out of the ring, and kind of how you dealt with that to kind of push you forward.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm being genuinely honest, during this time that I've had away from the sport, I've had a lot more time to just analyze and recognize the battle that I've been fighting with myself. I come from a family where we never had very much. Gang, drugs, violence, things like that. Poverty followed our family for a long time, and once I did have success, I didn't have anybody to teach me how to manage it. I had managers, I had coaches, I had a lot of people that just saw me as skill and my ability to just lock in and go win. But I didn't have, and I don't blame them. Nobody. They were my coaches. They weren't. I didn't ask them for everything. I just asked them to help me win. So I don't put any blame on them. But one of the battles that I've always faced is the sometimes the chip on your shoulder can actually just make it can create conflict. Inner conflict where you're making poor decisions because you feel like the world is against you. And that was one of the things that I believe is that I've recognized and understood about, my family, the Brooks Woodard family. We have this thing, this generational, and talking with my therapist, I'm okay with talking about it out loud, this generational, like almost a curse or a generational ability to self-sabotage, So I had to take a lot of time back and like step back and analyze myself and really look at things like, well, this circumstance and that circumstance wasn't ideal, it wasn't beneficial for me, but I also could have done a better job at recognizing how I could have approached them differently, and for me, that was with Bellator. I can step back and say that I do regret some of the things that I had said, during some of my social media battle with them, and a lot of times as a fighter, you don't want to, or people in general, you don't want to look back on anything, regret anything, but sometimes you do. You have to learn more about yourself. And I regret not so much my stance and being, honest to myself about what I wanted and what I was valued at, but I think I wish I would have been better at communicating that out loud and being more professional about it. Going back to the UFC, I wish I would have been a little less bullheaded. When I lost my first fight, I had an opportunity to just take a break and regroup because I think a lot of people understood my management. Sean Shelby, I had a conversation with a lot of people that were like, hey, you just don't seem like mentally and emotionally in a good place. Maybe you sit back and take some time. But, my bullheadedness and just my subconscious ability to self-sabotage, I couldn't do it, and this is one of the things that I've noticed that has made things a lot more difficult for me than what it necessarily needed to be, so it's something that I've recognized.
Well, we're all human, right? We all make decisions. There's consequences to those decisions, but ultimately it matters on how we deal with it and learning from it, or even just recognizing them, right? Because sometimes people will make a mistake and they're just like, I wasn't wrong, right? Or I didn't do anything wrong, and then they don't learn from it, right? And it's just that vicious circle. So no one's perfect, and just the fact that you're doing some self-reflection and saying, okay, what can I do here? What can I do there? That makes you, that makes you grow and be a better person and fighter as well. And no, that's great. You're 33 years old, so it's not like you're 40. I mean, you still have a fighting career ahead of you, so that's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if anything, man, I was trying to do this while I was competing.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to do it because in that landscape or in that space it's always high intensity like situations, right? Like, so when I lost the fight with the UFC, one, I'm disappointed because I wasn't used to losing anymore, so I had to deal with the loss. And then it's a weird thing, you don't realize it, but you step into a massive gym like American Top Team and you see your banner up on the wall, you see this Bellator title that you have in the trophy case, You see all these high-level fighters, and everybody's winning. And after a while, you don't realize it, but subconsciously, it starts to creep in. It starts to get heavy on you, and now you're getting deeper, deeper into being bullheaded and just chasing and chasing and chasing and putting yourself in tough situations, and then after a while, you start to your communication ability to talk with people and deal with personal feelings and emotions. You start to lash out, and I was doing a lot of that. It was affecting my ability to train, where a lot of my coaches were pulling me to the side, like, hey, man, are you all right? What's going on? You don't seem right, blah, blah, blah. Then it was spilling over into my home life, where I had my wife, my daughter. I'm trying to be the best husband and father I could be, and I'm just running in circles and kind of digging a hole deeper. But finally I was like, you know what? Either you're gonna sit down somewhere, figure it out, or you're just gonna burn out and not be able to put it back together. So, that's where I'm at right now.
No, that's good. I mean, you definitely have some opportunities heading your way. You definitely have shown success at some of the highest levels you can compete. You're surrounding yourself with top tier talent. The future is bright. I mean, just keep going at it. I can't wait to see what happens next in the Will Brooks story.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I physically and mentally, I feel the best that I've ever felt. Even when I was on winning streaks, I don't remember ever feeling the way I feel. And being in a gym with Douglas Lima and Diego and Tony Martin here in Georgia, where I'm located now, and Coach Ducal, and been in this environment where these guys are very, very comfortable with who they are as people, has really helped me get comfortable with who I am, get more comfortable with being a father, get more comfortable with being a husband, and just really being there has really brought me around full package. Like being an athlete, bro, like I wake up and do that stuff any day of the week, like getting out there competing and winning. I do that. That's what I do. Like I'm a killer when it comes to that, but I've always had a very difficult time with mentally and emotionally being consistent with it, so that's where I'm at right now. And look, I'm excited for what's going to happen in the future. I'm highly motivated right now. I don't know what's going to happen with MMA right now. It's kind of locked down. The UFC and Bellator are the only organizations that are having fights right now. I understand that I'm in a work my way back position right now. So, man, I'm calling every regional show, whatever show, Aries FC that I'm signed with right now, but they've given me the freedom to fight outside the organization. I'm on fire right now. So I'm looking for any opportunity to compete and show people that Will Brooks is not gone. I'm still here. I just needed to do some work.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, I want to circle back because you mentioned Douglas Lima, the Lima Brothers gym. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about what's going on with that, because aren't they opening up a new gym?
Yeah, they just opened up a new gym in Lawrenceville, Georgia here. It's about 30 minutes from me. I go out there every day with those guys, and it's a beautiful space, man. I'm really excited for those guys. It's only been open for a couple months now, but with the corona and everything that's been going on, they've had to put certain regimens in place and certain rules in place. But I'm super excited for the future for those guys, just because not just like financial future, but just their ability to share who they are with people and be able to, not just their skill sets, but their personalities and the way they carry themselves as men, and the way they carry themselves as husbands and fathers. That's one thing that I've watched is in my short time being around those guys, is how incredibly honest and genuine they are as human beings, and how caring they are. And it's just been an incredible blessing to me to be able to be around them. And, I kid you not, I'm thanking God every day when I pray to him, and I thank him for the good, I thank him for the bad, and I thank him for the Lima brothers.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting time we live in, right? Because things are open, things are closed with COVID. I'm curious, not fighting related, right? I know you're an athlete. I know you're a top tier athlete. I know you work out, you do your exercises. But on a day where you're not exercising, let's say an off day, what does Will Brooks like to do? Like, if you could just pick something like this would make me super excited. What's that thing you choose?
Man, I'd be cooking all day.
Yeah?
Like, I would be cooking. I think fans and people know now, like, that's something that I've definitely always tried my best to talk about as much as possible. But I love cooking.
Okay.
For a while, I had my own YouTube channel. I was trying to do a little cooking show, but that was tough work because I was setting up cameras, I was setting up lighting, then I had to prep food and everything. So by the time I got to cooking and recording and editing videos, I was like, oh man, this is so much work, But I have a lot of people, a lot of friends, family, and some fans that are like, man, when are you going to bring back the cooking show,
There you go.
Me and my wife right now, we're working really hard on trying to figure out a way to just make the process a little bit more efficient so I'm not burning out and I can be able to record and produce material and put things out and be able to keep it consistent, So we're working on that right now, man.
So if you're gonna make, if you're making a dish for, let's say you have a group of your closest friends coming over, right? And you wanna, or maybe let's bring it back, like before your wife, right? We can go back before you got engaged. You're bringing her over. You need to wine and dine her, right? You're making her the top meal that Will Brooks can make. What are you making her?
Oh man, dude, my go-to every time is probably gonna be. I probably go some tacos. I do this slow roasted chicken taco, like a pulled chicken taco. I've always had this idea that if I'm gonna, I go out on a date and I want to be around a girl, like I want to be genuine. I want to see if she's gonna be okay with picking up that taco, or with her eating with her hands.
Yeah.
That's how you figure out. That's how you figure out how real people are. They're okay with eating with their hands on the first date and stuff, like then that's somebody you might want to stick with for a little bit, So
that's hilarious.
I'm gonna go to some tacos or something like that,
That gets risky. You start talking about ribs, chicken wings. That gets a little messy.
You get a little nuts, man. But that's who I am, bro. Like it's a good way to kind of introduce them to who Will Brooks is exactly. Like, I'm a free. I eat with my hands. I'm not trying to eat a rib with a fork or pizza with a fork or knife. Like, look, if you want to come eat with me, you got to come eat with me,